Yes, so let me welcome everyone to this 7 day and the most exciting of all, because today it's you, the participants, talking to us. So we're excited to hear from you in the exports processes and what you go through as you are doing the assignment. So thank you so much once again for showing up. We thought that you were going to be intimidated by the assignment, but no. Yeah, so we're full house and it's exciting. So let's proceed with the gameplay and see how it goes. Unless there are any announcements or any comments from anyone from the group before we start. Okay, so yeah, it seems there are no any announcements. But let me just take you through the program for the day. We're going to have our presentations, in fact, the individual presentations, and I've seen some people are working in groups, others are working on their own. So we'll have those presentations, and then we'll break at 10:30 for our tea or coffee, and then we'll continue with the presentations. And then after the presentations, we all have the discussion just to go over what has been presented and to give feedback, and also just to appreciate what you go through. And then from there, Mary will take us through another presentation just to guide us on how to use the toolkit. And then from there, I will do another evaluation for the day. And I want to thank you so much for doing the evaluation for yesterday. So today we're going to use the same. We're going to share the link, and then you're going to respond to the evaluation form on your phones. And then after that, we are hoping to finish early today. And then we're going to have our closing remarks from the same people that gave us so many remarks yesterday. And then from there, the usual exciting moments, we're going to have match. So, why the better way to finish a massive workshop like this one than with the steam lunch, at the bottom. So that's how we're going to proceed today. And I will just briefly hand over to Manny to kind of take us through the program, how we're going to go through this. But otherwise, I'm excited that we have another beautiful day, and you all energetic and ready for the day. So let's do this. Okay, over to you, Manny.
Good morning, Doug, and good morning to all the participants. Thank you for being here this morning. And I am really looking forward to seeing the presentations that you have prepared. And I hope yesterday's session has been of benefit to all of you. I think the main idea behind it was to be able to use the um, regional cross-border trade toolkit and be able to actually pass on that knowledge. So I hope that the assignment has actually helped you to be able to do that. There were some questions that were posed yesterday during the session and after hours yesterday. So we will answer that during the discussion later on today. But in the meantime, I think we can go ahead and actually listen to your presentations because I am looking forward to seeing what you have produced. And hopefully we will have some solutions to some of the problems that you have been facing and some of the exporters have been facing. Ultimately, the main idea about increasing exports is that, you are increasing the sizes of businesses, you are creating jobs, and obviously helping the economy of the country. So this may be a small part of it, but we are hoping that it would have a much bigger impact and it will have a domino effect on the economy itself. So where previously people did not have that knowledge to be able to export, we need them to actually have that knowledge. We want them to have that skill, because if they start exporting, their businesses grow. If their businesses grow, we are creating jobs, and these always have this domino effect on the rest of the population. Um, and creating more jobs, and putting more money into circulation really for the economy. So really, that is what the regional cross-border trade toolkit is for, and it's actually to help the countries surrounding South Africa to benefit from being within close proximity to South Africa and having access to this market. Obviously, going forward, I will be here and contactable for you to ask questions. But whatever questions you have, that you would like answered today, please keep them for later. But in the meantime, Doug, I'd like to hand over to you, and you can start sharing some of these presentations. And I hope the participants are ready to present their work today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, we have presentations here. I mean, just to kind of be democratic, what's the goal list? Okay. Please come forward now. And when they can stop sharing so that I can share the presentations from here. Can I have the screen?
Good morning. My name is Michael Mwenda.
Excuse me, for the sake of the sound, you can move on.
Yeah, my name is Michael Mwenda. I'm from the money sector. So the presentation will be about export. Export to South Africa. gemstones are very, very high valuable, but very, very low in volume. And our pricing actually is in carat. 5 carat is 1 gram. So ya que la voy y su hermosa, lo otro pues voy a hacer es empezar desde de ahí podemos CIF or cost of export. Start with the cost of the product itself, US $100. Then we pay all of this without 10%. So we factor in $200. Then we have to process export payment. It's about 100% of the cost of $40. Then implementation and logistics as clearing, hardware, customer. Then it's about $500. The insurance is also about $500. The air freight from the north $500. So the total cost CIF monthly $3,700. So that will be that be on the universe. Timeline from what to we think includes the added. The 1 week we are trying to get the extraordinary information. And we give ourselves another 1 week for instance. We think we get a timeline for court to this last month. Areas to exporting gemstones. One of the problems now is the good affects but sometimes they don't allow one uses that's a challenge. I think already is because it was so we those challenges is the challenge is the place the getting export just economic tools from the value of this. That's another barrier. Now, I think we need to educate to just work with government to expedite the processing commission. Also, what they regard to accept this person. That's briefly, I can say, the presentation. Thank you.
Great, that's nice, brief, straight to the point, and you see how simple he has made it, yeah? I think he deserves another round of applause. gemstones here. Sometimes some of you have kind of those gemstones and you have just taken them to some buyer somewhere and the goal is to spot. You can easily check in with Mr. Commander on how you can export those gemstones instead of just selling them somewhere. Okay, thank you. So we have been sitting in our presentations. Many, I think, to be done here. Do we call on the next presenter or your any comments or questions?
Firstly, thank you to Leighton. It was a very informative presentation. So, you know, with regard to gemstones, I mean, we may have some restrictions in South Africa, especially for raw gemstones. I know the processed gemstones and precious materials are allowed as long as it is processed. We don't have much of an issue. But if you want more contact details for, you know, our gemstone department, then I can have it pass that on to you. Please just send me an email. But it has been very interesting to see your perspective on it. So thank you very much. I think we can move on to the next presentation.
Thank you, Mary. So, Mr. Commander, the door is open. Feel free to link up with Mary if you have any questions, or if the association, the mastermind cooperative has any questions about exporting gemstones to South Africa. You are the ambassador. You know where to go, and you should be able to tell the others as well. Now we're going to the next presentation. Okay, yes, Flora Godway would like to. So you will just be using this
Soybeans is one of the most important crops in Malawi. It is a useful grain making because it has a variety of uses. You can use it for soybean and services and other many uses of this soybean. Soybean is rich in protein, vegetable oil, and essential minerals. This crop has the ability to fix nitrogen and therefore improves soil fertility. Soybean is increasingly becoming popular and is serving as food and vegetable in Malawi. In addition, there is a significant expansion of the soybean industry within Malawi and with a substantial demand for the export market. Soybeans, there are self-sustainable biomass. We need a value-added tax, and the total landed cost and the prices. I've chosen mode of payment, I've chosen rate of credit, because we really are safe. And the important, I've chosen a warehouse because really it's also safe and simple. because all the products will be in my warehouse, and I'll just pay. I'll just if the buyer will pay for all the logistics and everything. Those reflects fraud. That's what it is. Here, I think it's February. So this the small customer duty, and because the buyer will pay everything, I did not check for South Africa. Cost of goods $20,000 US, export processing fee $100 US, trade agent fee $100 US, trade cost, insurance, other costs $200 US, and total costs coming up to $22,400 US. Caroline. $6,000 in quotation the buyer. That's the data. The quotation will include the services. And then yeah, sorry to say. Yes. Sending it to the first, I'll send it to the buyer. Then, after agreeing with the buyer on the price and the other things, or the pricing and the other things, I will get a contract and we sign the contract with the buyer. After that, I will apply for export permit from our government, which will take about 15 or more days. And I'll wait for information from my buyer for the mutual payment from South Africa. I understand it takes about 30 days. After that, I'll prepare all invoices, certificate of origin, and the processing of MRA documents, which is done through an export agent. Just for road, I'll use delivery by road truck. Barriers, high transport cost, high agent fee cost, export processing in the country, still a considerable amount of time, which can make an exporter less competitive as it increases the export lead time. South Africa import license process takes 30 days, which is too long in this business environment. Goods inspection on various products is a time consuming, although necessarily activity. These barriers can be alleviated by taking the matter to the respective governing bodies in order to make the regulations easier for exporters. Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot everyone. I'm so interested in Sorry. Great. So that was a presentation from Flora. I think she did provide a lot of information, very good information as well. So she also deserves another round of applause. Over to you, any comments on Flora's presentation?
Thank you, Flora. I've learned quite a bit about soya beans today. And I think, as participants are doing this assignment and presenting, I'm sure what you have realized during this time that we're working on the assignment, it is very hard to actually do a timeline. And that's why I said keep it basic, because it's a lot of thought put into different aspects of looking at the timeline. But thank you for actually considering as much as possible and looking at the different things to work on during the time, as well understanding the product as well is very important. So thank you for one presentation.
Sorry, you're breaking up, and the sound is not very natural. Can you just repeat what you said in the last 5 seconds?
Okay, I'm going to keep my video off, so that might help. Am I a little more clear?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, this is better.
Yes, thank you, Flora. I think the important thing about the timelines is that it's very hard to actually work with, but the reason I put it in the assignment is so that you start thinking about it, and when you are teaching other people, you know what to ask them to consider as well. So things like your export phytosanitary certificates, the import permits, these are all things that need to be considered. But thank you again for a lot more information on soya beans, which I've learned about. So thank you.
Yeah, so in summary, she was basically saying that on the timelines, usually it's very difficult to figure out the timeline, was telling all the things that you need to do. The certificates that you need for soya, the phytosanitary certificates, and all the payments and all the offices that you have to go to. And we have already alluded that sometimes it takes time to get the documentations from the offices and like so. The timeline is it's difficult to get into, but it's very necessary to consider so that you do not, the customer is not frustrated. Okay, thank you so much, Mary. We will go to the next presentation, and who wants to go next? I see you. Okay, we'll see you in coffee. This presentation is dear to my heart because this coffee comes from my village. How it goes to other villages and stuff.
So I'm Chris I'm presenting the export of coffee, but most importantly, I'm presenting nursing as well. So I'm going to do the first part of the presentation, and then my colleague, Linda, is going to come to finish up. Yeah, so for you to export coffee, you really need to know all the requirements that you need to go through. So you do that. More especially if it's your first time, you really need to be serious about that. So one of the requirements that you really need to look into is the first one is the export license. So you have got an export license, and also you need to make sure that you have got a contract, the contract ready, so that's the initial US more. And also you need a certificate of origin where you can get from SCI. And also for the coffee, you need to get a certificate where you can get from the GTS station. Yeah, so when you get there, you are going to say that for the export requirements, you are already invested the savings for the export of coffee. And now we get to the mode of production. So for the coffee, we prefer to go for cash in advance. And most importantly, for us as a startup, I think cash in advance is very safe. You don't need to pay any loss. So cash in advance, that would be very, very hard for us. And now you need to also calculate the total cost. So the first thing you need to do is the order size, and for us, we are working with for 20,000 US dollars. And also there's a duty charge there, issue about it. That's the excise duty and the VAT. So the excise duty, you rate towards working with 20%. So from the 20,000 US dollars, that's order size, you'll get into more 4,000 US dollars. And then also on the duty charges, we have got VAT, and that's 15%. So from the 15%, we have got the 3,000. And you also need to be sure of the foreign charges. So for us, we selected 5,500 US dollars. And we have got the other charges as well, like the QLS, or the sanitary, as well as the certificate of origin. If you get the certificate of origin from MCCI, we need also to pay. So these are the other charges. We have projected it to $25 US dollars, and which we are getting the total cost of 27,525. So that's basically the amounts of the money that is going to show on the cost. Yeah. So thank you so much, and my colleague is going to come for the last remaining part of the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to tell you the final presentation. My name is Julia Sekene. So on the income test. Our income test, we have chosen the TAP, which is the requirements. We are so sure that our coffee is really nice and high grade, so we won't limit our businesses. So we have decided to take the coffee right in the place of the buyer. And the terms of payment, the payment, we just give them a period of 2 weeks, but we usually choose the buyer in advance. So barriers to export. The first barrier is late payments. Usually, most of the buyers, when they take things, we change the things, go to see if they are really okay. So it takes a lot of time, maybe a month for somebody to get a payment. So it's really difficult. And 2 weeks, global suppliers. Sometimes when the export try to take the things from suppliers who are local farmers who don't really grow the things up to the grade. So sometimes you see that they are thrown some water or they don't carry so much weight, they even high price. But when you go there, the things are saying that that's not a offer for a high grade. And another barrier is damage in transit. Sometimes when the things are in transit, they get damaged, maybe if road accidents as something that is use the tracks. So they can be able to road accidents, so the things can get damaged. In have some solutions to the barriers we have. One is advanced learning. For the payments of even advanced learning, so that we really think about the payments. And since we are also sourcing from other farmers, we will pay them so that they get their money as well. And another thing is insurance. We have to insure our transportation and our goods so that when they get involved in an accident, we are able to secure them and secure our business as well. Thank you.
Okay, what a nice collab from Nazmi. Okay, so they have just shown us how they can work together. And like we're training you as our trainers to go out there to train other members of Nazmi. This teamwork will be required, okay? Because when you're preparing your trainings and you can check with each other to say, how do we go about this and what do we go about that? But most importantly, please use the toolkits. This information is not rocket science. It doesn't mean that you are more intelligent or you are less intelligent because you didn't have the information. Just work with the toolkit and everything else you can. So don't struggle about what are the payment terms, what are the legal terms. Just know what the legal terms are from the toolkit and share the toolkit with others, and you will find that very easy for you. So once again, let's give them another round of applause. Over to you, Mary. Any comments?
Thank you to Prince and Linda for your enlightening presentation. I think some of the issues that you have brought up are very important, like the late payments and dealing with the local suppliers and the quality and so on. And I think what's important is having organizations that can test the quality before you export. The other thing about getting where cargo is damaged, obviously, yes, you do need insurance, but also you need to make sure that your goods are packaged in the best way possible. So I'm not sure what the packaging solutions, what sort of solutions are available in Malawi for coffee, but that's something that you can look at. So maybe have it, boxed or in bags, depending on the amount of cargo that's being shipped. And insurance, I think Mama Grace has brought that up yesterday, that there are, not many insurance providers for cargo insurance, and that's something we will have to look at. And I am trying to look online if there are any cargo insurance providers in Malawi. But that's something that, that can be started. Maybe check with your banks as well and other insurance providers. But overall, thank you very much. It has been a very enlightening presentation. Over to you, Doug. Okay, Doug, I think you need to unmute now.
Okay. Sure. So we'll go to the next presentation. Who wants to go next? There's no one at your back, please.
Okay. Is it okay? Yeah. It's okay. And because I should not say, okay. Is it okay?
Sure, it's fine if you can speak to the host, it's fine. But if you want more time, we can do that as well.
I can just make gestures.
Okay, great. Please have a moment. So you just
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Vanessa. And I'm here with the presentation of all shoes. You know what? We don't normally people that doesn't know, and they don't know how important and how we can do business with the whole shoes. We normally maybe use in our homes, but people don't know that the whole shoes is money in it, and it's a business indeed. So I'll start with from the farmers. Myself, I'm not a farmer, but I do buy the farm produce. And one of it is goat cherries. I do buy goat cherries from the farmers. Mostly, I can say the season. It's a seasonal business, they say like that. So, first of all, we do the paperwork from Shitense. And then from there, we're supposed to do again from RSA side, the government RSA side. And thereafter, we start buying. And then from there, we're supposed to look for the customer from South Africa. And then we agreement, because there's no way we can just take all tourists to Africa. There's a lot. What happens to make this to be in position of selling it. So it's like when we buy it, we do grind it. We go to the mill where we grind it because we don't sell as it is. We're supposed to grind it. So we go to the mill there, after grinding, maybe you can learn as it is here. You can buy for $20, and then for chicken and pay $100. For MRA, it's $500. For duty in the Cambridge, it's just according to the government of South Africa, their duties are just too silly. They are not like here in Malawi. Because like for $20, the goods for $20, we can pay in rands, I can say we can pay 2,000. So if you can compare that 2,000 agriculture, we'll find it that it might be 120,000. So it's not doing. It's like trust, which is my road. So there's some damages there, and even at the mill there, those people who help us to grind those old chilies, they do stew. So which means when you're grinding it, you need, like it needs the availability of you, the owner. Even when packaging, you're supposed to be very careful because they might steal from you. In short, I can say like that. And then concluding this, enjoy then South Africa. So you can comment that 65 rand in Malawi is equivalent to 3,900 per kg, which tells us that that what is a lot of money. What you can calculate from 2,800 to 3.9 is a lot of money. That is per kg. What about if you give maybe 50 kgs? How much are you getting from 50 kgs? It's a lot of money. So that's what shows how this is how we do it when you're taking to South Africa. And when it comes to payments, my what I do is when I'm going there, I always go there and always agree with my customer that it's cash on delivery. That's what I do. Thank you.
So much, Vanessa and the whole chili. Yes, thank you for letting us know that chili is not just for food in our homes. It's for business. So let's give her a round of applause. Over to you, Nelly.
Thank you, Vanessa. And being of Indian descent, I'm sure you know how important chilies are to us. I mean, you know, we have it in pickles, we have it in curries, so it's almost in everything that we eat. So there is a very big market, especially in Durban, for chilies. I mean, if you go to any store, you would definitely find chilies in Durban. So whether it's the bigger stores from the Woolworths to the smaller local stores or the markets, it's everywhere. So yes, there is a very big market for it. And I think, you know, the main thing is obviously the quality and making sure you get your payments on time. And it's good that you get your cash on delivery, especially if you have customers that you can trust with that. So thank you very much for your presentation and for also, you know, pointing out what costs that you face and things such as the pilferage when you're transporting goods. Which is a big issue. And I think with making sure that you have safe transport and obviously insurance while transporting cargoes, these are important things. So thank you again. And Doug, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mary. And thank you for being a good customer for chili. Ship some today then. Okay, colleagues, we have about 15 minutes for our break. I was outside, I've been told the coffee is ready. Should we continue with the next presentation or we can break here and then regroup with some caffeine in our bodies? Very democracy. We have 3 more other presentations here, so we can just debate now and then regroup, or we can just continue and break after the next presentation. Okay. So maybe we're going to break for coffee now, and then continue in the next 20 minutes to just allow the people to relax, freshen up, and kind of stretch, and then we start at 10:40. Is that all right with you?
Yes, Doug, that's perfect. I hope Prince and Linda have brought in some coffee for you guys to taste.
Sure, yeah, they have some Syrian coffee. Let me just check mine. I got mine yesterday. So I made sure I got coffee from my village. I can't drink it.
Oh, wow.
It's small, but it's fast. Okay. Okay, great. So let's have our break and our coffee, and then we come back at 10:40. Enjoy your coffee, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start now. Hopefully, our colleagues online, you can hear me. Hello.
Hi, Doug. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start the presentations, and who's next? What's next? Are you next?
I don't know how to speak Yeah, yes, I will know.
Yeah, I'll translate for her.
Sorry for that. Yeah. And my company is from General Gas and Cleaning Services. General Gas business essentially was I supply beans, I supply data, comics, and and most of the time my business is here in Malawi, not outside. And now because I was here, I think about the what you say people because I wasn't in the process. What we say I did a lot. Now I want to start to export my tools. Like sugar beans.
Okay, so what I'm saying is she's in the business of supplying agricultural commodities, mostly to local brands, including government institutions and other institutions. These products include beans, millet, and other legumes. So she's now that she's a member of the Cross-Border Trade Association of Malawi. Now that she has attended this training and having the experience of supplying locally, she's considering doing that on the export market.
Why still we want to kumiza kuja kwa mashairi ya mbele because of kura kumiza kuna hata sasa na kile yeti ni ambayo ya kufama bila malengo watu sima tena bila malengo mkura so ni nyemba sasa mkura matengo wangu nina I want 100 bucks so ni mambo sasa na mimi na chakwa kujenga ngeza.
Yes, so in why she has not been involved in exports is because there are so many challenges. These are the barriers to exporting. This includes most of the agricultural products are sourced from smallholder farmers, and she's able to set prices with the local farmers for procuring the product. But in terms of setting the same price on the international market, that's one of the challenges that she has not explored.
Now, my check is I mean, my one year. Honestly, wow, like him, like kutengeneza kuna mnogo ile inavyo mafuna tengeneza mnogo wa white na uko pesa kwa kuku leo kabla kwanza ni sukienda malonda nina malenga tengeneza ofia utaweza sukienda malonda tengeneza mwenye kwa nyemba kama linga nyemba sababu hii ndio mimi mlenga kama linga mafuta yeje yacha asipata sana mki masomo yetu wapi okula anaja wako ya kula au kwa watu tunakula kwa Muhammad alimwambia high price na kazi na kwa tunazo kienda zile zile kwa sababu ndio ndio kuuliza lazima zile zile ya sika kwa hiyo hizo mna
Okay, so some of the challenges include prices. What usually happens is that when the products are in demand, the prices are high. And usually what farmers do is they pack as soon as they harvest. So it can be 50 kilograms at the time of buying, but as the product dries up, you find that it's less than 50%, and this makes the product expensive. The other problem is about quality. You agree with farmers in terms of the product quality, but you realize that sometimes the mix, you have small and bigger grains that are mixed.
So, yeah, but we now. What do you give me the money here? Many government and case and when I say because product can be now. Thank you.
Going exports, mostly agricultural exports, and she's going to work with the grain traders and processors association. Not migrating from those border trade association. She's still there, and she's working with other associations to facilitate her trade. Yeah, so that's planning. Let's just give her another round of applause. Mary, do you have any comments on that?
Thank you for the presentation. Doug, I'm just going to mute you so it's easier for me. Yes, thank you for the presentation. I think it's very important that we're here during these sessions, especially with the problems that you have been facing and the challenges. So please do go over the cross-border toolkit and then and I'm glad that you will be dealing with the Grain Traders Association, and they can help you further with exporting and getting more customers, and basically just making sure that you do have a sustainable export business, because that's what we're here for. So the less hurdles that you face, the easier it will get. And I think by networking, during these sessions and also learning more about exports, it will benefit your business. And we hope to, hear more about the progress that you make over the next few months. So thank you very much. Doug, you'll need to unmute yourself now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Who would like to go next?
I'm coming.
Yes. Awesome.
Good morning. My name is Rosie Namawa. I'm the chairperson for the Texas and Sharing Already. In this presentation, I'm going to give you just a small outline about the Texas. We started in 2016 with a group of 30 women. We are all tellers in this part of the country. And now we have gone to 41. We started as the women's group, but we are somehow enrolling men as well. So whoever is interested can also join this. And the products that we make ladies outfits, we make as well, industry uniforms. We also make soft furnishing. When I say soft furnishing, it's to do with cushions, curtains, and even pieces. We also produce cloth masks, especially this time with the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. We have had a lot of demand to do cloth masks. We produce both the 2-layered and 3-layered masks. And we also do graduation gowns. Now, in our case, to be exporters, we produce quite a lot from ToT, mostly. We buy these pieces of material from town, and we make those products according to customers' choice. We also allow customers to bring in their own materials according to their choice, so that they just tell us what to do with the material, and we have tests who can make whatever we want. And in our case, if we happen to be exporters, we want to have a contract, and the cost of this contract, the basic amount will need $20,000. Now, working on the freight costs, we estimate that we shall need $1,000, and 20% excise duty, that will come to $4,000. And including VAT, which will be calculated at 15%, that is about $3,000. And to include other costs, like freight, costs like packaging, and even to do a bit of assessment of the product itself, we shall need a total cost of $2,000. So a total cost of the whole export exercise will require $30,000. Our payment terms, sorry, it's not sure here. Right. Our payment method and Incoterm would prefer to have letters of credit, asking the bank to pay on our behalf. And the products will be delivered to the buyer. Once the buyer makes their choice, we'll then deliver when we have made the production. The timeline for this exercise will be 1 month, 20 working days. The first 5 days will be for us to send catalogs to the buyer and expecting responses from that. And then we'll send a quotation which can take 1 day. And then through the application process for the export permit, this we are expecting that to last for 10 days. And then preparation of certificate of origin, this will take us 3 days. And transportation will be by air, most likely DHL. And that can only take us 1 day. That's why we're saying the total time required will be 20 days. For all this to be in place, there will also be other challenges that we shall encounter. We expect that the registration process and export permit will take a bit long, since we are just new in this venture of being exporters. We expect that the process might be a bit lengthy. And also the cooperative itself, though we are about 40 people, we also buy shares. We don't have enough resources to make us start to do these export activities in such a way that we shall need to find a loan facility. And preparing all this from the banks might take a bit longer. We also expect that being a new player in the export hub, the export and import processes may be time consuming to us, since we'll be learning and we know what it means. We don't pick anything at a point. You need to research a bit more so that you have enough information to work well. We also expect that we'll be facing a bit of challenge in terms of competition with the designers from other countries. We are not the only people who will be exporting goods to South Africa. We have heard that there are other people from Lesotho, and there are also designers from other countries. So it's up to us to see how we are going to run the race with other designers. Coming to that, I just have to thank you for listening.
A big round of applause for the textiles. So yeah, that's a very welcome move. But I can attest that we have members of the Lulumbe Textiles and Dairy Cooperative that are exporting, and they are working with USA Trade Hub. So maybe as an association or as a cooperative, you haven't done that collectively, but there are individual members that are basically exporting. So you have that level of experience in that. Okay, great. So now, over to you, Mary, for your comments.
Thank you, Doug. Is it specifically designs with local fabric?
Is it done?
Yes, we use local fabric.
Yes, they do.
Sorry, Doug, I think I muted you by mistake.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now.
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, so they said yes, they do using local fabric.
Thank you for your presentation. It's very informative. And I think, you brought up some very important aspects about the challenges, especially with being business ready. for exporting and having the right resources. So if you go through the cross-border trade toolkit, right at the beginning of the document, you'll find export processes and business readiness. So it looks at the aspects of business readiness that you need to consider. And it looks at, the things that you need to look at with your product, like the market competition with other, as you mentioned, with other designers and so on. But what's important is that you start and you focus on the export. So, once you start, it will get easier as time goes on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll move to the next presentation. What's next? Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Hi, everyone. Um, so, this is Riaz, Association in Malawi. I did this assignment with my friend at the back there. So, I'm an active pastor. So, it's a great opportunity to meet you guys here. I think I have a very good experience in one space. Like the other presenters say, in the association, we have had some people who will be exploring things like individual. We as an association have never done this thing exploring before. So I think this would be very good. The first grade of the things. So that's the first summary of what we do. We as an association, finalists, we do jewelry, assist, we do basketry, embroidery, and souvenirs. All right. So from the assignment that we did yesterday, we thought that before we do any business, the market usage is very important. Because right now we want to send this type of item which is food catering. So in some other countries, it's very good to be present that each type of food they recommend in other countries. But in other countries, they don't permit some type of food. So we thought before sending the item, we have to do a little bit of research. So we predicted and then the alien method of the choice was crashing out. So we thought this is the best way and secure form of obtaining payment to used currently. So under this sense, the class became So this payment because most of the times instead of you have this kind of the license or the money you know. So in concepts, we have those three points related experience with international trade, risk sharing between them and cost, and financial responsibility. So the timeline that we're giving ourselves to do is so this is an reference that we have the product is ready. So that's from session to delivery testing. So we have ourselves to do is so the challenges we had a few challenges. Second one was communication sometimes because our type of work was not between people. So by the time it's like present, so that becomes a problem. So so the insurance is 600 dollars. 400 association, similar and then further costs, packaging costs, so the total is 22. Thank you. Great, so that's fine artist, you know. You can see he's a fine young man, fine artist, not taller than me, you know. So, yeah, fine arts and fine eyes. Thank you. So, let's give them a round of applause. Great. So, over to any comments on Visual Arts Association of Malawi?
Thank you, Doug. Okay. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you for the presentation. It's been very interesting. And I think, well, I'm glad this page is open, that's being shared, the types of barriers, which I think we haven't spoken about, but it is very, very important as business owners. You know, language barriers are an issue, and it's very, very hard to communicate. And because, you know, if you're speaking to a South African, we have our own way of speaking. We've got a few languages. We've got 11 languages that we speak in the country, and we speak in a way that not everybody understands, because sometimes we may mix English with Afrikaans or with Zulu, and a foreigner may not understand it. You know, if we are saying hello, we'll go, how's it? You know, those are the things that you may not understand. So the linguistic barriers, yes, it is an issue. And I think it's something where, you know, the main thing is understanding English, because that you can get through almost anywhere in the country. But you also have to understand that people have their own languages, their own lingo. You know, I'm sure you have your own way of speaking as well, even with your local languages. So it is a barrier. And I think the good thing is that in most places, English is spoken well in Africa. I mean, the other languages are French and Portuguese. So you are right to point the linguistic barriers. The other barriers, like the psychological barriers, and having stage fear and depression and speech disorders, I mean, we all get nervous. So yes, I'm speaking in front of you, but I was not always someone who would speak in front of people. So it takes a lot of practice to get out of your comfort zone, to move and put yourself out there. So I'm not going to say that it's overnight, because it is definitely not an overnight thing. It takes years to be confident enough to actually be speaking in front of people, to be able to present. And for me, that's the important reason why I ask participants to do presentations, because your next presentation, wherever you may be, you might actually be presenting your company. So this is a good way to practice. Also, do it as often as possible, no matter how nervous you are. If somebody asks you to speak for anything, whether it's a birthday party or a family event, whatever it may be, don't say no, just say yes. You may make mistakes, you may have issues, but at the end of the day, it's just another way to practice speaking. Because let me tell you, when you're dealing with international business, you have to be able to express yourself. You have to be able to, if you are invited to a trade show in South Africa or in Dubai or wherever it is, you will have to speak to potential customers. So I'm glad these issues have been brought up, because it is something that we can work on, and you can work on a personal level, and read as much as you can, and watch YouTube videos if you need to, on self-motivation, how to put yourself out there. There's different authors that actually look at these things, like Brene Brown, focuses on brave leadership, looking at vulnerability, putting yourself out there. So there's lots of authors, lots of books that you can read. So it's important that, as much as you're working on your business, and as much as you're working on your product, it's just as important to work on yourself, especially if you're the person who's going to be marketing the business. And whoever is marketing your business has to have that confidence. But like I said, it just doesn't come overnight. So just continue to put yourself out there, continue to speak, continue to ask questions, contact people. Not everyone's going to say yes to you, but ultimately, it's just putting yourself out there and making sure that you have that practice. So thank you for actually bringing up this type of barrier, because it is an important one, especially for business owners. You'll find that you will second guess yourself. But the important thing is that you can second guess yourself, but you just get back out there and you just keep going, no matter how much you second guess yourself. Tomorrow's another day. You get up and you start again. That's it. And no matter how hard it is. So yes, we do have these issues, but it's things that we can work on. Okay, back to you, Doug.
morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexander Chikapula. I will present some experiences from the 5 P's investment, which is a family business. And we are a member of TTP, so I'm presenting on both fronts. I'll share with you the experience of tea exploitation, of course, in line with the assignments which we give. My presentation pretty much will consider what was in the assignment. We were asked to give the preferred payment and incoterms, to calculate the customs duty, and to calculate the export cost of our product, to give the timeline, expected period to deliver, and barriers first, and how possible to overcome them. The tea product, the business in the tea is that it's a traditional business, such that most of the buyers and the sellers in the business, you pretty much have strong relationships. So because of strong relationships, the payment modes and the delivery methods are in consideration of the strong relationship on the ground. So in this case, we normally use the irrevocable letter of credit, where it involves the buyer's banks and the seller's banks. And in this case, I've chosen Incoterm of delivered duty paid, where I'll be responsible to pay duty in the destination country or site. For the sake of the customs duty, I think honestly in Malawi, for the teas we don't pay any duty, but because taking the toolkit that we were given yesterday on the tea, there's 10%, which probably Mary will explain what 10% is that about. So that's why you find duty, excise, fuel taxes there, put to 0, but I've factored in the 10% there that is appearing in the toolkit that we were given yesterday. So as such, the customs duty, if I take that 10% which was given in the toolkit, that means we need to pay $2,000. Calculating the export cost, in this case, the value of the tea, which we were given in the assignment, is $20,000. But because I'm delivering duty paid, so that these are the costs that I need to meet. The 10%, as it appears in the toolkit, the training toolkit, I put that 2,000. Documentation of exports clearly, $100. Road freight from here to Johannesburg, because that's where I'm taking my tea. I've considered that the 20 value of tea will go on a 30-ton truck, so I'll be paying $100 per ton. That would be $33,000 for transporters. And insurance, 3%, because I'm the one delivering. I have to pay those in transit. I have to cover my consignment. So that is $600. Documentation on imports, because that side I have to give the buyer after everything I've done. I have to be also in South Africa. I put there $100. That is indicative, much as the export one is close to the truth. While there's 15% VAT, according to the toolkit, that if I'm exporting tea to South Africa will charge me 50%. So I factored 15% back there, which is coming up to 3,300. And here, when I'm loading, I need quality and quantity surveyors. You know, people like STGS, Socotec, and others. These people will come to witness the loading and witness the quality and the quantity. We pay them $500. So my consignment, as it reaches the buyer, I'll have suffered all those costs, and the value on my commercial invoice will be $7,600. The timeline, looking at what we need to go through or we need to undertake, I expect 3 weeks to be enough. From the day we quote the buyer, we get the quote confirmation, and from the day we draw the contract, and then the buyer starts processing import permit that side. We have heard about 30 days, but sometimes it takes less than 15 days or less. So I've considered in this case, it might take less than 15 days. And then once the import permit is being processed on our side, we are also doing the export clearing. We are also doing the CD1 forms with the Reserve Bank, getting the consignment cleared, and our clearing agents also are running up and down. At the same time, we are reaching the transporter, engage with the transporter to come in and load, and then go all the way to deliver the consignment to South Africa, and then the buyer considers paying us through the letter of credit, whereby the buyer, the seller, as I am, I know I need to go and present the documents to the bank so that the bank now credit my account. But experience on the barriers, the quality and quantity disputes sometimes with our buyers. That's why we engage the quality and quantity surveyors to be our witnesses when it comes to disputes of that nature. And even the good packaging materials, well-labeled materials that even also help us when it comes to those challenges. In transit and border delays, sometimes trucks just are delayed in borders because our documentation are not well done. So the properly done documents, if we do all the documentation, the delays, transit delays, the border delays are reduced or are not there. We have delays in the custom clearing. Sometimes we complain that the custom is not clearing, they are not releasing my documents because some issues, sometimes they have issues of not trusting what we declare on our documents. They think we have under-declared. In such cases, we incur the delays. So in most cases, is to give the exact or the true value of our consignment. We do away with such delays. And even the bad payment dispute at the end, because the South African government, for them to dispute the VAT, they need to see the value of the commodity. So it also goes on the real value that we declare, given by backed up with T-auction market reports that they should know that the value that we're declaring is the real value of the commodity. But thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, Alex. For that presentation, let's give him another round of applause. The campaign is starting to wear off. Now needing some starch and glucose, but anyway, we're getting there. Okay, great. Any comments from you, Mary?
Thank you for the presentation. Okay, so thank you for the presentation. I'm not sure where you got the 10% FOB value from, but the VAT is 15% for the tea, but it also may depend on the type of tea that you are exporting. And also I'd like to say thank you for mentioning things like the documentation, which can delay your goods. You know, the one thing that we do stress in the regional cross-border trade toolkit is preparing your documents on time and as early as possible, and making sure that it's correct, so that you don't have all of these delays, making sure that you have the right documents that you're sending through to customs, because even if one document is not there, they will delay your shipment. There's no question about it. So I think what I liked about all the presentations today was the fact that, you know, everyone brought different barriers, you know, but it all matters. Every single barrier does affect your shipment. So what we've looked at with the cross-border trade toolkit was to try and bring in as many of those barriers and try and look at what information you needed to that would help you to export. But I'm glad that all the participants have mentioned these different barriers that they have experienced, or they know of people who have experienced, because by experiencing it, you can help each other. So I would encourage you, after these sessions, to continue networking, to continue speaking to each other. You have the WhatsApp group, so use that as well. So thank you to, I think that was the last presenter, Doug. Okay, you need to unmute now. Doug, you're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Now go to the next presentation. We are almost.
Almost getting there. So the next presentation is from the Queen herself. Mama Grace.
Thank you very much. This morning I will be presenting under my own company, my own brand. It's called APC. So the product that we've chosen, we selected to export into South Africa is soya. So that picture they just showed you that it's how you know transition is really coming from Malawi. So that's me and some of our farmers, as we say, we are line product in class. So we just wanted to give you have a feel of some of the farmers and the fields the way they do. So as I said, we are going to export soya. So the first thing that we explore in here is just to share with you the specification of the soya that we are going to export into South Africa. In terms of payment method and the item, we've chosen the system. It will give me a short second. So, we are also looking at the direct transfer into our account. We provided bank details there. And in terms of income, we're looking at exports. As some of my colleagues have said, it also becomes easier and cheaper. In terms of cost of export, we looked at the soya exports, which is $20,000. And then we are also looking at the cost of implementation, which we paid at $10. We are assuming this is just one factor. In terms of duty, as guided by the document, we factor in the 50%, and then we also factor in the VAT, which is 40%, and the total value, I wouldn't call it cost, but the value of the product from our angle is already at 25,800. But definitely there will also be cost of transport which will be taken by the border. In terms of timelines, we are looking at the establishment of a contract in three areas: that's protection, contract itself, and then by the time that we issue our invoice. So we are looking at 14 days to do that. And in terms of import and export license, as guided yesterday, we still put it in the 30 days. Then we're also looking at procurement of products, because often the time we mobilize the products after we finalize the documentation. So we are we're looking at payment process after we've done everything. Then we're looking at least 14 days. And then we're looking at total number of days to be almost 58 days. In terms of barriers, definitely from our experience, sometimes we have this what we call, I call it a sheet, whereby you have everything, you have all the paperwork, you just find the government an extra plan. Then we also have the issue of value assurance. It's a barrier because often the time we get the product from the farmers, and then you have to regress. So if you are not careful, you end up sending a product that is compromised. The other issue is definitely working capital. For one mobilized now, you definitely need enough working capital that you can now secure the whole product anywhere else, and then you can need to do those things. There's also the issue of pricing. Just to share also experience, last year we had a price that we had looked at with farmers, but we find that to a certain extent, the government started saying because the price $600. So although you have got the price at $540, you cannot export below the local prices. So that is a barrier, because you see when you make a contract, you result it. So it is an issue that you look at it as a barrier as well. Other one is definitely the absence of insurance, as I mentioned yesterday. In terms of aggregating the barriers, we are looking at engaging governments for export waiver. Meaning, we have to make sure that we engage our government from the waiver right now, so that when we are concluding the contract, it has to have that waiver, that regardless of what happens on the ground, we should not be distracted, otherwise we lose our customer out there. The other issue is use professional traders, as I say, sometimes it's compromise quality, and you end up losing business because of that. The other issue is to negotiate also suppliers' flexibility, because there are times that the demand and supply takes control. So you have prices that are high, and then because you have not have a price which is lower, and often the time you also negotiate with your buyers to say they consider what we call market prevailing prices. So you can have a lower price, but you also need to negotiate for that flexibility. Definitely through our buyers in South Africa, we expect them to also help us, because we do not have the insurance facilities in Malawi. We expect them to help us with the covering up of the insurance angle. I think that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Marcus. And we are hearing from the horse's mouth, the experts here. Yes. So it shows you how easy and challenging exporting can be, but otherwise it's reassuring to hear from those who are in the telling us how it's not.
Thanks, Doug, and thank you to Mama Grace for your presentation. And really, thank you for that picture. It's actually very nice to, have an idea of what, the produce looks like before it's exported. And you brought up some really good points with regard to the barriers, such as the insurance, which is obviously an issue. So I think when looking at the insurance, you'd have to look at the Incoterms that's being used and maybe get the buyer to insure. The other thing would be to approach your local banks and local insurance companies to look at whether or not they can start offering these sorts of products where they offer cargo insurance. Yeah, thank you very much, Mama Grace. Doug, you'll need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Thank you. You're muted again, Doug.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I can.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm representing Nasi together with my colleagues that are represented. Today I'm going to look at national product. National business. We are new in the national production. We sell mushroom that we eat all time. We have never exported it. Through this presentation that we had yesterday, we have read a lot. And we know that we can also do private ones. The payment methods, we see that it's good to give cash in advance. Although the other methods are also viable, but with this one we see that it's easy for one to get his choose in time. Okay, so in the creation of customer and 2 years post, we thought that this is what we can come in present part, that's 15%, that's for the $3,000, then extra duty, that's $2,000, that's going to give us $2,000, yes. Then the other cost, that's in total, we made the calculation for $2,000, so total cost, that's $7,000. On the timeline, we assume that it might take 6 weeks for us to accomplish all the processes. Last year, 2 weeks to
do the paperwork, documentation, and was trained by Malawi. Then we also have 4 weeks so that our buyers in South Africa also got things with all the transactions. We know that in any business there are barriers, but the barriers that will not end there, they're supposed to be solutions. So with this business, we know that we may have some delays here and there, just because we are new in the system, so we're supposed to understand the process. We're supposed to do everything specifically so that we should not find the delays. On transport cost, definitely we're supposed to talk to the various agents so that we can find viable means. As you know that the nationals, they are easily perishable. As such, we need to find viable means that can help us transport our goods to South Africa. So the customer clearance was supposed to use agents, especially in the borders, and also create responsible import permits, responsible for imports, permits, responsibility of the buyer, that everything is created for in advance. So we also have barriers, for example, non-barriers, as was said that we are doing the system, but we know that we are not going to stand alone. Definitely, we are going to consult with it, and we're supposed to ready together with them. For the pricing, this one will be put on cost. Definitely, we're going to set the lines for all prices in South Africa. We haven't done that yet. And also, we will also have challenges or barriers, for example, language knowledge, or the other issues. But this one, we're going to sort it out using a regional cross-border trade toolkit, the ones that have been provided, and we're going to use that. We also need of importance. Definitely, that one we assume to have a wide knowledge of the legal regional cross-border toolkit that we are going to use. Thank you so much for your attention.
I know favorite teachers, and you know, how many teachers? My mom was a teacher, my sister is a teacher, my younger brother is a teacher, myself was a teacher. You know how women. So thank you so much, Australia, for that presentation, and let's give her a round of applause for. It's the first time having someone with fresh produce. That's pleasurable, giving us how they are going to go through the export process. Any comments from you, Mary?
Thank you, Doug. And thank you for the presentation on the mushrooms. Very interesting. I think you were the one who actually submitted the question yesterday evening with regard to the mushrooms. What I did find for you was that you will need an import permit to export to South Africa. So please take note of that. So when you're dealing with the buyers, they will need to get an import permit from the Department of Agriculture. What you can do is, if you do have a buyer who's not aware of the processes, then you can always contact me and I can help you with getting the forms and so on. And that goes for all the participants, really. So if there's any questions that you have that come up later on, my email address is on yesterday's presentation, which I think was shared with everyone. So please use it, and please contact me if there's anything else. With regard to the customs duties for mushrooms, there's only VAT applicable, and within SADC, you will not need to pay customs duties. Okay, so thank you again for that presentation. Back to you, Doug. Please unmute yourself.
Please unmute me.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think we'll stop the presentations here. Is there anyone else I've missed out? Okay, great. So it's 6 minutes after 12. Let's go into the next session, which is discussion. Over to you, Minnie.
Doug, yeah, I'll need to share my screen. Okay, before we start a discussion, Doug, can you please mute? Okay, before I go ahead with the discussion that we want to have, please have your questions ready when I'm done with this. Mama Grace brought up the PAPS yesterday, which is the real-time transactions. Obviously, yesterday I didn't know about it, so I did some research about it last night. Ultimately, it's basically just reducing the time that it takes to do transactions within Africa. So if you want to make a payment, or if you're receiving a payment from an importer, they will go to the bank to send you a payment, and by using the PAP system, you could have almost immediate payments, right? Now, for this to work, it's not up to the buyer and the seller. This is about the banks that need to register with PAPs to be able to do this. So, you'll have to make sure that the Bank of Malawi is registered and your bank is registered. So the local banks and financial institutions in the different countries need to be registered with PAPs for you to be able to do it. And when you are trading, it would have to be with, a different country that actually has a bank that does the PAPs payment. So to be honest, I'm not sure it's going to make a lot of difference to you. Yes, it's great to have immediate payments, but this will take some time to be implemented because there's only about, I think about 6 banks that's already registered. I think it's further down here. So these are the banks that have been registered so far. So you've got the Central Bank of Liberia, Central Bank of Nigeria, Bank of Ghana, and so on. And obviously the Bank of Malawi would need to be registered, and the different countries that you're dealing with. So this isn't to finance an export or an import. The PAPs, the benefit of it is to make the payments go through quicker. Okay. I don't know if anyone has any further questions on it. So you will go through your normal payment methods as you are now, and via the banks. But once PAPS is implemented fully, then you could use that and have your payments done quicker. A lot of the international payments do take a few days at least. So in this way, it's done a lot quicker, and you have more peace of mind by already having your payment in your account very quickly. So if anyone has any questions on this or any other questions that you'd like me to address, please, now is the time before I move on to the tracker that we'll need to use for the next month or two. Okay, Doug, you are muted, so if you can unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I was saying it's very clear, so we can move together.
Okay, thank you.
No, that's.
Please remove your mask because I cannot hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay. My name is Yohane, President of the School Association. So I've been following the different presentations, including the sessions today. So I've seen that the clinic is fine and good, but there's some gaps in terms of the way how the traders can view the different platforms that are coming in.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you clearly.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, you should press the mic.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm saying that I've been following the different presentations since yesterday, today, sessions, video sessions, or association sessions. So I've seen that the toolkit is very good and very important and helpful as well. But I'm looking at the different angle, the way how we present it, in terms of the, we are here, different associations, some that, they are individual company that are producing different items that can be exported abroad. But I'm taking this in a different angle that we need to use the same material that we have as Malawi, as Africa. So my point is based on the actually the system that we can be, these traders can fall. What we have for Africa for 10 to 15 years, what the policies inside of the Africa we have different policies that related to the product that we can, export or import outside the country or people. So my basically the nation is based on the how these programs attached to the national trade facility because there's different areas that are traders to benefit from this one. And now the challenge is where these traders can be involved in the different challenges that are faced during the export. We are talking about transport, we are talking about border issues, we are talking about certifications, we are talking about different issues. So I will point away that this training, this platform will give us an advantage that after this training, what will be the next step so that we can able to follow or to do as in Malawi, because we have a different products here in Malawi that we wanted to compete in the Africa standard or the world standard. So we have the main challenge, what is export process. That is the main challenge at this border and in the market as well. So there's this after the model of Italia, there's an entire barrier system whereby these traders should also know and understand how we can involve when they are going to Mozambique, for instance, they are going to Zambia and Tanzania as well, in South Africa as well. So this training will also put some different systems that these traders or these producers can also easily report. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments. And I think what's important is that, each country should have a national trade facilitation committee. Normally, these are set up, either by customs or the Department of Trade. But I think, the group of people who are here present today, if you don't already have a national trade facilitation committee, you can push to have one. By addressing it with the Department of Trade. And from there, you can actually form the group to address all of these policies and work together on it. The important thing is working with the government, and because all the processes, all the regulations are set up by the government, set up by customs. So you have to work together with them to have these changes made. As much as you may be a group of traders and people who are exporting, obviously, there's only so much of influence you can have on the policies. So that is why it's important to have the national trade facilitation committees to be involved in all of this and to help change the policies. And also, there's no harm in you as a group approaching the Department of Trade or approaching customs or whichever organization has these policies that are affecting you. And tell them, listen, you need to look at it because these are the delays we are facing. And obviously, if you're not exporting, it means less income for the country. So you need to speak to them, in that sort of language where, export is beneficial to Malawi. So the policies that Malawi has to encourage exports. So that is something that you have to deal with together with the government and the different departments and ministries that you are dealing with. Okay, Doug, if you can unmute on your side, and if there's any other questions.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to start maybe by thanking Ms. Riley for the comment and the questions. I just wanted to kind of give a bit of an insight of what we do as a project in Malawi. That's why you see that in this training, we have got different associations that have been invited to this training. These are the ecosystem actors. These are the players in the market. And we believe that by bringing these different actors together, we are opening up a platform for dialogue and knowledge sharing and exchange in a way that they understand the common problems, they understand the common challenges and the common opportunities, and try to work together to address them. Because usually in Malawi, I think the tradition is to work in silos. So every association is fighting its own battle, but you are actually dealing with the same, hyena or elephant. But by coming together, working together, you will find it so a bit easier than to do it alone. So we believe that by this kind of networking and knowledge sharing, there should be more concerted effort in doing that. And as a project, well, we can only do so much. In terms of policy changes, that's totally different ballgame that we as a project may take a bit of time to address that. But local system, sharing the tools like the cross-border toolkit, and defining the knowledge like what you may is doing, we believe that those challenges should be becoming a thing of the past if we work together. So I just want to highlight that. With that, I invite you, Eddie, to take us to the next session, as there are no questions from the room.
Thank you, Doug. I would like to share my screen again. Okay, so firstly, thank you to everyone who has attended the training. I'm not sure if you can see my screen as yet. Okay, I think you can see my screen. So the next part of this exercise that we've done with the Regional Cross-Border Trade Toolkit training of trainers is we need you as a trainer to track how you are using the Regional Cross-Border Trade Toolkit. So starting from, well, tomorrow basically, you will need to actually look at how much you are using the Cross-Border Trade Toolkit and give us that feedback in March. But in the meantime, we will be in contact, during the next 2 months. But what we are looking for is, you'd need to complete it with the country that you're from, your name, your organization, your contact details, your email and telephone. And as and when you are using the cross-border toolkit, whether to help another company or your own business or whatever it may be, please keep a track of it so we know how useful the Regional Cross-Border Trade Toolkit is. Obviously, we want to make sure that it is being used, and we want to make sure that it is of benefit to people. So whatever the feedback may be, whether it's good or bad, it doesn't really matter. We would like the feedback. So, but you can just provide the date, the company name that you're assisting. And if it's not a registered business, you can just state that it's not a registered business. The name of the contact person, their gender, this is just for stats purposes, their email and telephone details, the products that they're looking at exporting, as well as feedback on the Regional Cross-Border Trade Toolkit, and whether or not it was useful, what type of information was used, and so on. Ultimately, we want you to be able to use it, and we want you to be able to train others on using it, and for it to really be of benefit to the exporters in Malawi. So we will be tracking this till towards the end of March. But in the meantime, if there's any questions that you have on it, or if you have any issues with completing it, or if the company that you're dealing with has contacted you for information, if you don't have it on the cross-border toolkit, so let's just say it's a product that's not on the toolkit, please contact me and say, Mary, like for example, mushrooms is not on the toolkit. Please, can you give me more information? Are there customs duties? What do we require an import permit? What is the process of exporting it to South Africa? And then I will come back to you on that information as soon as I can. Sometimes it does take a bit of time, but a day or two at the most. But I'll let you know, how long it will take, because I do contact the different departments here in South Africa as well. So the main idea behind this tracker is to find out how useful it is, and where we can help further. Obviously, the program is coming to an end this year, but we want you to be able to use the cross-border trade toolkit and also, find out as much information for other exporters as well. So however you may have used the cross-border toolkit, whatever benefits you have found, please share it with us so we can actually follow up. Doug can follow up locally with the companies to see how they benefited. I will meet with you individually or as a group, depending on how we can schedule this in March. And then we can take it from there and discuss, what the progress has been. And hopefully there would be some progress and some improvements for your businesses, as well as for the other companies that you are assisting. So once again, thank you for attending this training. And also, it's very, very important that, well, personally, it is important for me to see, African countries increasing their exports. I believe we have so much of resources. We've got so much of raw materials that that's being exported, and I think it should be of benefit to local businesses which are doing the exporting, who are processing the goods and moving the exports within the country forward. So I hope the Regional Cross-Border Toolkit helps you and helps other businesses to do that, because this obviously will create more jobs. It will have a benefit to the economy, and I hope you actually do have work together in trying to change the policies, pushing the government also where there's policies that you're not happy with, and trying to address it from your side as well, because it will help not only your businesses to reduce the delays, but other businesses as well. I think that's it from my side with the tracker. So I'm going to stop sharing that. So Doug will share it with you on email so you can complete it as and when you're using it. And you'll also share it on the WhatsApp group. So I think that's it from me. I just want to thank everyone for attending and for your presentations. It was, you didn't have a lot of time to work with it, and you actually, all of you put a lot of effort. Even if you didn't create a PowerPoint, the effort was there in, presenting the information that and, this is of benefit to others as well, because everyone brought in different barriers, everyone brought in different products. So it's very, very helpful to, somebody who wants to export soya beans or somebody who wants to export tea or coffee, to actually have that understanding about what the process is. And it's people like you who are already exporting that can help them. So even if you don't have the full knowledge of the whole process or whatever it may be, as long as you can help them in some way to help them progress and help yourselves progress, that's the most important thing. And I'm hoping to see some positive results over the next few months. And I wish you all the best. I know you will be receiving certificates for attending. So thank you very much, and thank you to Doug and to the rest of the USA Trade Hub team and to all the participants. Thank you to Charles and to Mama Grace for co-hosting with us on this event. Okay, back to you, Doug.
Thank you so much for attending, and thank you for your time and giving us all this knowledge and skills. Today, I think it has been a very short 2 days because it's been very enjoyable and interesting hearing from you and also all the information that has been shared. We are now coming to the last part of our activities today. But before we do that, we have an important process. Certificates. Yeah, we have all graduated. No one tells my class. Okay, so I'll ask Mama Grace and Mr. Yohane, please come in front and present the certificates to our participants. That's what happens when you talk about the questions. You are vanished. Okay. So I'll be calling the names, and what you do is you come in front and you get the certificates from these two. Don't shake hands. It's a COVID time, so we'll keep it simple. Maintain the distance. Okay. Kalua. Photo time, eh?
Yes.
Number 2. Chitima Mama. It seems ladies are scoring higher than gentlemen. Number 3. Australia and I cannot repeat it all the way. At least, on top of that, we have a man. Mr. Alexander Shikapula. And closing off the top 5 is a woman again, Constance Kadondo. And then I'll not be mentioning the numbers wherever. Go on, go James Amanda. A photo flash. It's hard, but I think the name says it.
Oh, Naomi. Okay, so Simone. Oh, yeah.
I told you, flash is important. Yes. Yeah, right now, actually. Yes. To disturb the photo time of the project. Justice Gray. Since you answer questions from Malawi, and always on the same position. Lawrence Dixwell Naka. Remix Secretary. Update Master, eh?
Yes.
Human Karua.
As you know, the
Okay. Who had the symbol from the Cinema Association? Do you know what Karua?
yeah,
Okay. Please tell me. My vote. What happened? That was it. Los ve amakoa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Great. So now that you have got the certificates and you're excited, please do give us an evaluation feedback. I'm sending the link on the WhatsApp group. You have the link on the WhatsApp group. Please complete the evaluation, and as we do that, we'll proceed with the closing remarks. We'll hear from Francis Fraser, who is the portfolio manager for Botswana, Namibia, and Malawi. And then we'll also hear from Chris from Grain Traders and Processors Association. And since we don't have qualitarian institute, we'll just have remarks from those two dignitaries. Over to you, Francis, with your closing remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. I'd like to say, first of all, that I wish I was there. It looks like a very celebratory moment to see all of you receiving your certificates and celebrating the hard work and success of learning together over the last 2 days. I'd like to thank all the participants for the dedication. I heard and saw great learning, practical examples going on, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to prepare your homework, for applying yourselves, for being so dedicated to this process and committed to supporting Malawian firms to grow their exports. It's really exciting to see the energy in the room. I'm just jealous that I can't be there. I'd like to thank, first of all, our partners, Grain Traders and Processors Association and the Planetarium Institute, for all that they have done in terms of preparing and for our long-standing partnership and ongoing work, not only in this area, but in other areas of work. I would also like to thank Mary for sharing so much wisdom and expertise with us, and for her preparation. I'd like to thank the team from the USA Trade Hub, DeGru, Nelly, Wendy, and several others who have contributed to making this a success. Thank you, team. These events don't happen without some good teamwork. So thank you for that. Also, just to mention that we are rolling this out in the other countries that we work in across Southern Africa, and that Malawi was the guinea pig. So the evaluations that you are completing are very important in terms of how we roll this out in the other countries that we work in. So please feel free to give us your feedback and yeah, let us know what could have improved and what you enjoyed so that we can transfer that into the future events that we are running. Please keep in contact with us with your questions, as I know Mary's emphasized, and a huge thank you to everyone for, again, for your participation and involvement. Maybe just to mention a few upcoming events on our end. We have the same workshop taking place in Namibia tomorrow and Thursday, so we are definitely on our toes. In February, we're working with the AGOA Steering Committee in Botswana to run a workshop with them. They're basically looking at how to mobilize support from different government agencies and donor agencies and other organizations to get behind the AGOA strategy and put more weight behind it. So the focus of that session is really around planning. So quite exciting. And then on the 23rd of February, we're looking at a webinar around exporting to the United States. We've got several upcoming buyer events as well in different sectors. So please keep an eye out for those opportunities. We've got a list of our country reps there, but of course, DeGru is your main man in Malawi. If you have any business in other countries that would benefit from USA Trade Hub support, those are the other country contact people. And with that, let me hand back to DeGru. Or should I hand directly to Grace? I'm sorry, I'm not sure on who I'm handing over to, but thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
This is my host, so please another round of applause. And now I invite Mama Grace to give us her closing remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to make sure that you're all alive. Francis for very, very important and this one. Training session, we really appreciate and we take all was really a very good facilitation, and I'm sure my colleagues here, they will go back very happy, and it was really a good session that we had. And I also want to thank all the participants here. At least everybody was active and everybody participated, and it was really, really very encouraging. One thing that I would want to also request is that let's keep in touch. Let's get together as family. To me, I'm looking at the SART family. SART is the South African Trade Hub family growing. And I think through us, we should be able to even enjoy bigger, because as we just like to say, we all come from different associations. We are all privileged, because I mean, everybody would have loved to be here, but you were privileged to be selected. I mean, all I would be with you to do is please take back what we learned here so that it can benefit more And as you heard from the community, they are really trying as such to help us open doors for us. So we take this as an advantage. And at the same time, we know that Malawi is also trying to push for exports. So it's a good coincidence, and I'm sure using the tools that we learned, we should be able to take us to a different level. I would also want to commit as grain traders, because in terms of especially commodities like the grains, we are trying hard, and we have markets that are already available, and we will be sharing with you some information using the same forum that I created, so that for those that want to participate, we are free to participate. I think one of the reasons why we get together is really to get to know each other, to share knowledge. Each and every one of us here has a skill, has a capability that I might not have. So in a small way or big way, we all are useful, and I'm sure together we should be able to move the agenda to export forward. So I
Great. Thank you so much, Mama Grace. I think those words are very inspiring, and I believe that we are not leaving this room the same as we came in. So once again, a round of applause for Mama Grace. Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of our workshop and our activities for the day. But as I promised you, lunch will be served, and make sure that you get the lunch ticket from Mary, and you proceed to the lunch, to the restaurant. Just wanted to assure you that we are also going to share soft copies of these certificates, so that you can put in your social media pages and so that people can come to you to say, tell us more about this border toolkit, and then you start populating your tracker immediately. Thank you so much once again, and this is the end.